Hello and welcome. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes. My name is Harrison Cable. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. Today we have a very special guest all the way from Texas in America. We have Daniel Montoya Jr. How are you doing, sir? Thank you so much for jumping on this podcast. It's really appreciated. How are you going?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Nice. Yeah, we're going to talk about a few sneakers. We're going to talk about the Wu-Tang Dunks that you recently reviewed on your channel. Going to have a chat about some new releases that we're pretty interested in. So, first of all, I do want to hear, because you've actually had them in hand, the Wu-Tang Dunks. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what your kind of first impressions were when you opened up that box.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm admittedly not the biggest dunk head, so I can't compare them to too many dunks in terms of quality control, or these are like these dunks or whatnot. But they're great quality. The quality control on those shoes, there weren't any errant glue stains or anything like that. It's a really nice shade of that Killer Bees yellow and the black, that gold color, the satin type sock liner. It's a really nice shoe. The embroidery on the Wu-Tang symbol on the lateral side, the heel. It's really good. If you have a fit for it, if you can pull it off, if yellow's your favorite color, or you support a team or organization with yellow, like it's gonna look real good. It's a great looking shoe. It'll be hard for me to pull it off just based on my whole style, but it's gonna be a great shoe for those that can't wait to get it for sure.
I mean, the team that first comes to mind is like the Iowa Hawkeyes type, but they released an Iowa Hawkeyes colorway, and and now we've stuck a Wu-Tang symbol on it, and now it's going to be super hyped. So it's kind of the way sneakerheads are. You change one little thing and everyone goes crazy about it. So
that's right.
The kind of original shoe that came out was so limited, and everyone kind of hyped it up to this lore, and then Nike said, we're going to re-release this. I actually watched this podcast that RZA, the kind of founder of Wu-Tang Clan, did with Complex, and he said that he went to Japan and saw that these shoes were like going for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he was like, well, that's not very cool, because like I want people to wear these shoes and to have them. And he's like, the sneaker store, the actual StockX sneaker store that he went to, couldn't even get them. So he's like, we kind of need to bring these back, so to speak. That's what he said. And so that was pretty interesting to hear, and good that he kind of has that knowledge of, what the industry is all about. And like you said, I don't think I could pull these off. Dunk highs are not my favorite type of style. I prefer like the Jordan 1s. But they're definitely awesome to see that Nike is bringing back a lot of these. What would your thoughts be about Nike bringing back some of these type of grail sneakers like they have and like they are going to do in 2025?
I know a lot of people who were there the first time around, or they have those shoes, are kind of gatekeeping in a way of like, oh man, I don't want someone else to have them. But then they'll also say, well, if I already have the old version, they're probably not wearable if they're 10 to 15 years older. So you have the ability to keep the ones, the originals, keep them in your display cases, and then wear the new ones. So I'm all for it, especially as someone who either was not into those shoes or didn't have the money at the time. With the linen Air Force Ones, I was so happy to get those when those came out. If they ever do some of the more famous Air Force Ones or the Dunks or something, like I will totally be excited about it, because I wasn't there the first time around, or again didn't have the money to get that. So I'm for it, though I understand why the people who have the OGs might not necessarily want others to have them.
I don't think it devalues an original. You know what I mean? Like, the original is still going to be the original. It's still going to be the first one. And I just think it's going to promote, like, obviously I don't think Wu-Tang Clan need any more promoting. It's not like they're not very well known, but it's definitely going to reach a new audience, I feel. So it's going to be reaching a kind of a younger generation. Like RZA said that he went to this store with his son, and kind of he's thought about his son and people his age, and trying to think about them and how they want to get into shoes and wear these dunks and all that sort of thing. So I'm very, I'm happy that they have brought it back. I won't be picking it up myself. Let's just say that.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with you.
Now, the next kind of big piece of news that I wanted to have a chat about was Kanye West and Adidas finally settling their what feels like long, it's really only been like 2 years, their big kind of breakup so to speak. You know,
Right. Yeah.
when you break up like that, it's tough to kind of end it clean. But it seems like they kind of have ended it somewhat clean, with no financial kind of compensation going either way. So it kind of does end an era, and what an era it was of Yeezy and Adidas, and really kind of changed the sneaker landscape, to be honest. So, what are your thoughts, first of all, about the breakup, so to speak, and how this all came about, and then what's kind of next for Adidas? Have they already moved on, or do you think this is the first part of them moving on?
Well, I'm definitely a three stripes guy. I love Adidas, and I love the iconic silhouettes that they have. And I was a huge fan of the Yeezys. They were incredibly comfortable. Like you said, they were very innovative and groundbreaking with the people who helped him design that. It shouldn't be lost on anybody that Kanye had a lot of help with some of the greatest designers in Adidas and Nike and whatnot on there. I'm glad it's over only because I'm tired of hearing about it. Not just from Adidas, not just from Kanye, but you go into any sort of comment section and the Kanye stans who think Adidas didn't exist before Kanye and they're not going to exist afterwards, or all that kind of stuff. I think I'm ready for us to move on from the drama of Kanye, and not even an indictment of his comments or his behavior. We're just done. I think a lot of us are just ready to move on, and Adidas should just look forward, get rid of whatever they have, and I'm excited. I like what they've been doing with Jerry Lorenzo. I know that's kind of been slow and maybe not meeting the hype. The AE1 is great.
Yes.
The collaborations that they're doing, the Ronnie Fieg with the Clark's Gazelle, or the AS350, or the just I think what Adidas is doing now with their new collaborators, with getting Edison Chen over from Clot, doing the Wales Bonner, like Adidas is forging ahead in a way that Nike is not, in a way that On, Hoka, that they're exploring their own lanes, which is great because I like Jordans. I think they're fine, but that's not my identity. I'm more of a low top trainer kind of person.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm wearing the Bad Bunny Gazelles. I love that stuff, and so I love the lane that they are creating and breaking out of right now. And yes, we have to give Kanye a lot of credit for what he did to Adidas and bringing them into the zeitgeist a little bit more. But Adidas was around a lot longer before Kanye, and they're going to be around a lot longer after him. So good for them. Let's wash our hands of it and move forward.
100% agreed. I think you mentioned Clot, Edison Chen, and we'll have a little chat about that in an upcoming sneaker release. He's got a new Gazelle coming out, so I really did like those espadrilles that they did with Edison Chen. Obviously the Wales Bonner collaborations on the Sambas have been pretty iconic now over the last couple of years. And I think that it is kind of sad to see the end of an era, but like all empires, they all must end. Like at some point, something is going to happen, and you kind of just hope that I wish that it kind of ended a little bit more organically instead of such a hard kind of finish. Like it was a bit of a messy breakup, so to speak. And I think getting rid of all the shoes like they have done is kind of just born out of necessity. Adidas kind of just had to get rid of them. Like they can't hold on to these shoes just sitting there for years and years. They don't have so much warehouse space, and they put so much money and time and investment into Yeezy that they've got to get rid of them. And so unfortunately you're still seeing them going on sneaker racks in retail stores for 80% off. Like people would be happy about that, though. I think you'd be excited to pick up some of those shoes, and some people don't really care too much. They just want to wear cool shoes. I feel like people like us might, like, we know kind of the backstory, but then some people, maybe 99% of the people, are just like, oh, those look cool, I'm gonna buy those.
Right.
Yeah. So it's good to see that they have kind of moved on, and I think Adidas is going to be just fine.
Absolutely, for sure.
Going on to the next topic, I think that one of the biggest sneaker rapper influences, so to speak, we went from Kanye West, who was a big musician, now to New Balance and Action Bronson, who is releasing a new line, so to speak, of more of a fitness-inspired shoes. First of all, he obviously had the 990 V6s with more of a comfort and lifestyle, talking about those. But you definitely see him now going into more of a actual performance running style. Are you interested as to why he's decided to switch up this kind of lifestyle to running aesthetic that he's done with these new Minimus and different colorways like that with the Rebel V4? I think it's the Fuel Cell V4, I think it's called. It's interesting how he's decided to move from lifestyle into more of a running athletic space.
Yeah, he is. He is. What is it? The quintessential New Yorker, right? So he has the New York Marathon. He has that kind of thing in there, and I think I've talked about this with a few friends, and that it's hard to find like good socks, good stuff for Saucony. Maybe with a little bit of New Balance that isn't just like performance based. Like these socks are for you to run a marathon. Like these, these pants. Like sometimes we want to, athleisure, right? Like we want to look cool and look like we could run a marathon, but not really run it. And so, I think this kind of thing is good because if you look at the Lululemons, you look at the Athleta, you look at what some of these other athleisure things that are made. I mean, yoga wear it first, but now men are wearing it. And Nike tried to get in it. That was too little, too late. And everyone's jumping on other brands. I think this is good that they're exploring this, and you have a name like Action Bronson that has established himself as a collaborator and designer with New Balance. So you get that instant credibility that you wouldn't get if just New Balance was like, oh, hey, we're just starting this. You put a good name that earns trust. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to get Joe Freshgoods to find someone with a bigger skins on the wall. But he's, Action Bronson's not that far behind when it comes to New Balance. So it's a smart move, definitely. And I will look for it and see what it does.
It's interesting that you say that you actually kind of tweaked in my head. Yeah, he is a kind of like he is like technically new. He's not been around as long as say Travis Scott or Joe Freshgoods or someone like that. But it really is like one of the biggest names, and every single release is basically guaranteed to sell out and garner a lot of attention. Like we're talking about it because I know that people are interested in it. And as you can kind of see on screen, you've got these like blue Fuel Cell shoes. You've got the Minimus in that kind of red colorway. You've got the 990 V6 in a more of a red colorway. So he only just released the Minimus in kind of that pastel color scheme, and now they've basically, as soon as those are released, they've previewed another release, which we don't actually know when it's going to release. Probably, I'd say sometime in 2025, perhaps just before summer, something like that would seem appropriate. But it looks awesome. Red is not my favorite color to wear on shoes. Might be controversial, but I definitely appreciate his aesthetic, and he's really creating a very nice kind of design and visual language for his brand, which the Baklava brand is getting pretty big now, and I really appreciate the amount of effort he's put into these, and he's obviously just a very magnetic personality that everyone kind of wants to be associated with. You think of brands like Saucony now collaborating with West Side Gun and kind of those kind of rappers that they're getting involved with those. It feels like the musical collaboration is kind of the vogue thing.
Well, as I would hope a lot of people listening would remember, I mean, Run DMC, right? Yeah. The first rap group, they, My Adidas, they had an Adidas, deal in the 80s, while other brands were rightfully so focused on sports. And, we've kind of gone up and down, but I think that there is a lot to be said if we're just speaking from a capitalism point of view. These artists, singers, if they do it right, and for every Travis Scott and Kanye, there's Billie Eilish and Beyonce, whose collections don't really do too well for various reasons. But, they have an audience. They release music a lot, all the time. And, if they go on concerts, they go on tour, they can wear these shoes. Pharrell with, Louis Vuitton now. Like, it's just, if you can be a good spokesman and good at your craft, you can have a Tyler the Creator type effect, on your brand and have people go crazy for it. But it has to match, the aesthetic, which is one of the reasons why I think Ivy Park failed with Beyonce, because she was releasing clothes and shoes that that wasn't her style. You didn't see her walk out wearing that other than the ads that she made for it. Whereas Travis Scott, the shoes match his steez, as the kids say, right? Like you see him wearing that kind of stuff. And so J-Tips with Saucony, that's his thing. West Side Gun's going to come out with that kind of stuff. Pharrell, like the people who are successful, the musical artists that we're talking about, they live the designs that they are putting out, and that contributes because the people who want to be like that go, oh, Taylor Swift is wearing 550s. I want to wear 550s, and they go out and buy 550s, right? If Taylor Swift came out with a Jordan 1 and never wore a Jordan 1, they would still buy it, but it wouldn't have the same effect as if she came out in a concert and was wearing like a bedazzled Jordan 1 or something to that effect.
I can't believe you just put that out into the world. I don't want to live in a world where Taylor Swift has yet another influence on social society.
Is it as bad down there as it is up here?
Oh gosh. So she had 2 concerts last year, I think. So she had 3 concerts, 2 in one venue, which is called the MCG, which is like its capacity is over 100,000.
Oh boy!
It's the biggest stadium in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, so it's like, it's in Melbourne, which is the capital city of Victoria, kind of further down from where I am. And she sold out both nights basically instantly. So had like close to 200,000 people at her concert. At 2 concerts, so I mean, it's definitely there, and people travelled from all around Australia for her because I know in America there's every kind of populace and kind of different city has its own massive population, whereas there's really only 2 or 3 different hubs of huge populations here in Australia. So people definitely travelled, but I wasn't interested in it at all, and thank goodness that my wife was not interested in that, because that would have been a very expensive venture, I can tell you that.
Get to sell some shoes for sure.
She can sell her shoes. I'm not selling my shoes.
Is she into shoes like you are?
She, since marrying me, yes, has a little bit more of an interest, but she tends to kind of trust me and lets me kind of buy or recommend shoes. So some New Balances, some Adidas low top kind of Sambas and stuff like that. So not really hardcore into it, but has a knowledge.
Right on. Good find.
I don't think that she would know our next topic, which is our shoe releases. So pretty much every week, in Sneakers, there's kind of a new release coming, and sometimes we forecast months, even years ahead. And I think this one that we're going to chat about now, which is the Jumpman Jacks in the black and brown color, has been previewed for what seems like an eternity. He's had these shoes on the burner for a long, long time, and I've already seen lots of people posting these shoes, getting them early. They're releasing, I think, later this month. Basically, my question to you, Daniel, is this good that Travis Scott is going out of his lane with Jordan 1s and trying to push? I know this is not the first release of the Jumpman Jack, but I think it's the best colorway of this. It's staying with his design language. What do you think about him going from Jordan 1 to a new silhouette and a new colorway?
Much like Kanye with his 350 V2, I'm glad that we're kind of moving on with this Travis Scott thing. I think Adidas was treating the 350 V2 as their Jordan 1, right? Just like, let's put all the colorways on and just sell so many versions. And I think Travis Scott was getting a little tired, or at least it was getting tired in the community of, here's another Travis Scott Jordan 1. It was still going to sell out. Yeah. It was still going to have a little bit of hype. But, he did go off into that Cactus Mac attack, and that was okay, but only the one that had his symbols on it, the one he co-signed. And the initial 2 Jumpman Jacks did pretty well. People liked them. I know that they went really well on hype and secondary resale sites if you judge a shoe based on that. But to be honest, I haven't seen anybody wear them other than like that first week that came out. That doesn't mean that I don't think people didn't like them or whatever. I don't see them around. I still see his Jordan 1s. I still see his Dunks. I still see all those. Having said that, I am glad that he's branching out, and I hope that he continues to push this model. They give us a little bit more outlandish colors, similar to his Elkins colorway, the yellow and blue. Like, give us more than just earth tones. Give us another Houston Oilers blue and red, something like that. That would be awesome. I would be really excited about that, in addition to whatever, Nikes or Dunks that he would do, and the upcoming Sharkadon, if that ever is released, that kind of stuff. So yeah, count me as a fan of him branching out from just Jordan 1 lows.
Yeah, like you said, I see those all the time. People are always wearing those shoes, and it's like I see them whether or not they're real or not. Don't know.
Right?
Probably not, but it's interesting that he's kind of kept the design. You know, there is a Jordan 1 coming out in this very similar colorway to this one later on in the year. I think it's December. You're releasing a Jordan 1 in that kind of chocolate, black, dark brown color. So he's still sticking with that earth tones, but it is nice to see, as you said, with the Elkins, the yellow and the blue, and that sort of that really popped. That wasn't my favorite colors. Yellow, right. Again, it's not my kind of color, but it is good to see them creating more. And as you said before, those Sharkadons that you said, I think is that the official name, the Sharkadon?
I think that's just what people have said because of the Spiridon and that kind of stuff, but yeah. I can't be certain.
Well, I've got the picture of those on screen, his latest ones that have like a blue and a brown and a cream color with the Velcro strap, and it's definitely interesting. I like the look of them. Whether I'll try and get them, again, it's going to sell out very quickly. It's going to go for a lot of resale. And it feels like it's fading in that sense. Like the hype has been, reached its pinnacle. Again, not that we buy shoes and will wear them for the hype. I think they do look good, and you could wear them very nicely. But I just don't think that I would be going for this one. Does look very cool, and obviously his brand management is trying to push more than just the Jordan 1s, like with the Jumpman Jack and like with this one, like we said. But any last thoughts on these little shoes here?
You said these were your favorite. I don't know that they're my favorite of thus far, only because I think weather-wise, right? Like I look at that and I go like, oh, it needs to be dark and dreary for us to wear that. And here in my part of Texas, it's rarely cold or dark and dreary. Yeah. So I gravitate towards brighter colors, and so that's why I would want to see that. But you know what? I like hype. Hype is fine, but like you said, at the end of the day, I just want to wear shoes that look cool and feel kind of good. And the shoes were good. They're cool. I please get out of the earth tones sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I say this, and I have 2 pairs of Jordan 1 low Travis Scotts. So there's everyone kind of. I have like the golf shoes and the Phantom ones sitting right there. So
those are my favorites.
Those Phantoms,
lows for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good, kind of up close. They're one of those shoes that you don't really know unless you know, type of thing.
Yes. The stitching. Yep, it's great.
Yeah. So we'll move a little bit. I jumped a little bit ahead here just because I felt like Travis Scott talking, kind of segued nicely together. But the other shoe that I wanted to talk about, again, another rapper, another inspired collaboration, but this time with a very different brand that a lot of people don't talk about, which is Puma. Right. Puma has really been in the kind of zeitgeist over the last, I feel like this year, maybe the last 6 months. That Speed Cat shoe that came out was kind of everywhere. I really enjoyed that shoe. That's one of my favorite surprises of the year as to how comfortable that shoe was. That brown color, which I picked up, was very, very nice. They had a blue one as well. But the one that I'm talking about, which I'll put up on screen now, is the picture of I think they're called the Inhale. This is the second version of this colorway. There's 2 different releases. There's a smoky gray black with some hits of yellow and blue, and then you've got an all black with hits of like red and fluoro green, which really stands out. I do like the first one a little bit better. They're also releasing a huge amount of apparel as well, even like a balaclava, a padded balaclava, which to me right now coming into summer sounds like the worst thing I could ever wear and all these jackets and such that get released around this time of year, I'm like, well, I can't get this now, and I probably, even if I did, I can't wear it for another 6 months. So
right.
I definitely like what Puma is doing here though with A$AP Rocky. What are your thoughts on these couple of colorways and what he's done before?
Yeah, A$AP Rocky, I find him to be one of the most stylish, well-dressed rappers out there. I think just whenever he's on the red carpet by himself or with Rihanna or just whatever, like he's got such a great look to him that is sophisticated. He has some elegance. He has some street. I think that he's like a very well-dressed, well-put-together person. And so seeing these shoes, if you had showed me these, I probably would not have said that they were his shoes, but that doesn't mean that I don't like them. I think they're super cool, and I really like when you pair the shoes with his clothes. Like he's wearing, like, the black and green one, and there's a
Yeah.
picture of him wearing that, the ASAP top and the gloves, and it's
Yeah.
just like it really pops. I like that green because to me, I like more outlandish, ostentatious shoes. Not that the other ones aren't themselves, but I look at the green ones and go like, oh, that green slime, it's sticking out. Like I like that a lot. So I like this design language. It definitely gives off that racing vibe. I think is it F1 or what did he pair with? I know they
It was a
announced it a while
motorcycle. I
back.
think it was like,
That's right.
yeah, it was a motorcycle kind of vibe, and they did, the promo shoots were all in like a garage, so that's kind of where the sort of pre-loved dirty style comes from with these shoes, and this aesthetic.
Right.
Like they're selling a singlet for 110 Australian, which is pretty expensive, and it looks like it's already been through grease trap twice. So um, that's the kind of vibe that they're kind
Yeah.
of going for. Not really my kind of style, but again, there's a shoe, there's a style of clothing for everyone out there, and I think that this is definitely hitting a market. It's definitely Puma trying something different, which is really nice. I'd enjoy
Yes.
competition is always good in any industry, and the more kind of sneakers that we get with different brands and different kind of, they've taken elements, I feel like, with the drawstring, like from hiking shoes. They've gotten the kind of little bit puffy style from some of their other shoes, like the Puma suedes. There's a lot of blending with this shoe, and I really enjoy what Puma's done here, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the future. And I'm going to pick up probably the white one. I think they come out on November 7th here in Australia, so I'll pick that one up. I think they're retailing for about $200 Australian. So, and
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
don't see them being incredibly limited, so to speak. I don't think they're going to sell out very fast. They probably will eventually, but it won't be an instant sellout like a lot of Nike sneakers. You know what I mean?
Right. And it bringing neoprene is very timely with, Nike bringing back the Sunder, the Air Max
Yeah.
Sunder, which is neoprene. And so,
Yeah.
Puma's right there where they need to be. And the design language, the mix of materials, I think it's very smart. And for 120 American, that's a really good price for us compared to a
Yeah.
$225 Jordan. Like it's like, oh, you can save $100 and yeah, it's perfect. It's great. It's of the time.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be comfortable too. And interesting the way my wife gets annoyed at me the way I say Puma, just by the way as well.
Isn't that the way you're supposed to say it? I know Jacques Slade does it on purpose to annoy people over and over again, but it's like people who they don't know it's Adidas,
Yeah.
right? Like in America, they oh, why you say it funny? It's like it's a German name, right?
Yeah.
Like not everything's Americanized, but yeah,
Like,
no,
It comes from Adidasler. Like that's
exactly
how you're supposed to
Yeah,
say
that's-
it.
Yeah.
But then we could get into a whole debate whether it's Nike or Nike and all that sort of thing.
yeah, exactly.
At least there's no
Exactly.
confusion about New Balance. Everyone knows how to say
That's
that.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. And you said Asics, right? Is that how you say it?
Asics. Yeah, I say Asics. Yeah.
Because we do
Asics.
the long A, Asics. We say Asics.
Yeah.
But you could be right. I don't know how do they say it in the country of origin. I guess that's the way. That's
Well,
the way it should be.
it wouldn't even. It's up for interpretation because they don't speak English. Like
That's
you
right.
know, that's where. So we're kind of making it up as we go. It's same with
That's
like
right.
Saucony or Saucony. There's people always
Right.
raging about how to say that one.
Correct.
Now that they're
Correct.
kind of in the
Correct.
news.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I'm not going to have a little chat about Saucony. We could probably go on for hours about those shoes. I have picked up a fair few of those. The J-tips, the Starcow ones, which I saw recently, were very nice.
Yeah.
But the next release I wanted to have a chat about, which we already kind of spoke about before, was the Clot and Gazelle. So that was obviously Edison Chen and Clot, long history with Nike, and then they decided to move over to Adidas to perhaps have a new venture, have a new style. They've kind of created a design language with the three stripes, having those beads, which I really, really like. I picked up both of those white and blue colors of the Espadrille Gazelles. And then they've also now released a new color. I guess it's a style as well of these Gazelles. It is like more of a blue white colorway. You've got what else you got? You kind of got like a brown gum sole on the white. You've got a regular kind of light gum sole on the blue. I really like these ones. I don't see them being incredibly sought after. I think that it will go pretty much the same as the last one. It will sell out, but it won't be incredibly popular. Do you like the blue one or the white one? For me, I'm liking the blue one. It'll probably be releasing around mid-November here in Australia. Sometimes we get shoes a little bit later than you guys, so it might be releasing a little bit sooner over there in America. But what are your thoughts on these ones, and which one would you want to pick up?
Well, navy blue is what I consider my power color. So anything navy blue already is an advantage for me. So that one I do prefer of the two. It now do you have the is that the clock gazelle behind you and the pale ivory right there?
This one.
Yeah. So like I love that shoe,
Yeah.
and the design language is similar. But when I compare that shoe versus the pictures you just saw, the pictures kind of look like a takedown version, right? Like it's not as to my eyes as high quality a version of a gazelle, which maybe is by design. So I look at that and go, oh, that's nice. But like the one you have in your hand or the blue one, like those are like very choice shoes.
Yeah.
But the navy blue one, that would be my favorite of the two.
Yeah. I think that the ones with the espadrille style were a kind of a brand new kind of take on a gazelle. Whereas this one just kind of looks like a gazelle with some beads on the thing and kind of, I'm sure it will have updated and clot elements to it, such as like really cool laces, which it looks like it has. And then, obviously it'll have some clot branding on it as well. The white one really looks very nice as well. But I mean, I have so many like white low top athletic shoes that I don't feel the need to want to pick this one up. Which is fine. Like, you don't, as I said before with the Puma shoes, there's a shoe and a style for everyone. And I think that, someone will love these. This will be someone's favorite shoe of 2024,
For sure.
which is great. We have diversity with shoes and all that sort of thing. So, but I really like where Clot and Adidas are going with this style and their collections that they keep bringing out. So it's really awesome. Yep. The last shoe release that I wanted to have a little chat about was the Jordan Fears, the Jordan Fear 4s, which are set to release. I think they got delayed to November 16 here in Australia. I have seen them up on a couple of websites. What are you wanting to pick these ones up? And I know they are kind of a re-release of a previous release from Nike. So what are your overall thoughts about these ones, and will you pick them up?
I think they are great. I like them. I will be getting them. I will be interested to see just how much in real life the gradient looks, with the black and the gray to the white. I think that we saw another Jordan 4 come out this year. God, it had such great quality, and I can't even remember which one it was. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like it looks really, really good.
Was that
so I'm
the Armand Meunier ones?
No, it was it was just a regular old. I don't want to say a general release. It's slipping my mind. But
Paris
this looks like
cement?
if it comes in, I'll have to check. Let me look that up. But it looks like it's going to be a good quality, so I'm excited about it. I'm definitely gonna have to pick that up for sure.
Okay, I think the quality is Jordan 4. It's going to be premium. Go up half a size if you have somewhat longer, wider feet like myself. Definitely go up. These are look like your pretty classic Jordan 4 comforts. No SB comfort specialized in this one. They will go pretty quickly and they'll probably sell out pretty instantly. It's interesting though that they're releasing them at this time of the year. This is where people start to think about their like top 10 sneakers of the year, and I think this would be on a lot of people's lists if it wasn't so late in the piece, if you know what I mean. Like, but maybe they're timing it just right. Maybe they're trying to capitalize on the way, recency bias is a real thing. So people see this shoe and they're like, oh, well, this is the best shoe of the year. I mean, I would struggle to name even two of the releases that came out in January this year, just because so much time has gone past and so much has happened. It's tough to really think back. That's why I think doing those top 10 shoe lists is kind of helpful to kind of remind you of the year that was, so to speak, and kind of reminisce and be like, oh yeah, that was a good shoe. Like, yeah, far out. I forgot about that one. Like, it kind of makes you, kind of redo it, so to speak. So
For sure.
I'll definitely be picking up this one. It will be releasing on the Nike AE website, as well as a couple of select retailers, boutiques here in Australia. So I'm definitely excited for this one. So that kind of rounds up our releases and news. So Daniel, being the first time you've come on this podcast, I really just wanted to have a chat to you and kind of just see why you like sneakers, first of all, what your kind of history, so to speak, is. You don't have to tell me too much about yourself, but just like not your whole life story, but like where does sneakers fit into your life, and why are they so important to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I came up on sneakers differently than most of my sneaker friends. I was heavy into luxury Italian sneakers first. I had some Pradas, some Jimmy Choos, that kind of stuff. And I liked what they looked. I liked how they felt. I didn't like the comfort because at that time they didn't care about comfort. They just like, oh, you can have this handmade Italian leather shoe. And then along the way, I came across Y3 in Adidas, and that's what really got my attention with his Casa High, the QASA, the Casa High. It got me into like, oh, sneakers are really cool. They're doing some nice design languages that are not just like, oh, here's a sneaker. And of course, that then led me to the Yeezy, the 350, the V1 at the time. And I was like, oh, this is what we're doing with sneakers now. This is kind of cool. And so I really kind of came across that because I wasn't a big Jordan head growing up. I had Jordans just fine, but I was kind of a preppy kid in high school. So I wore like Timberlands. I wore low top leather shoes. I'm a kid in the 90s, so I was different in that respect. So
Yeah.
I got into sneakers based on luxury sneakers, and I still wear luxury sneakers. I like that the design languages between the two are starting to, morph and combine. Obviously, with Virgil and Pharrell going over to Louis, and there's Off-White, and people are just, Alexander Wang is making some comfortable sneakers. Like, okay, good. We're really kind of looking at that. So, I what I like about sneakers is what I like about pretty much anything is it's the artistic choices. I make my living as a classical music composer. So I like to take chances in the music that I write, the music that I arrange. I like all types of music to listen to, whether it's orchestra, whether it's pop, whether it's trance, techno, all that stuff. And so I like a good general release, but I really like when you see big swings taken on shoes with your J-tips. He's being loud with his colors, with his materials. Action Bronson, Joe Freshgoods, Salehi Bembury with those juniper Crocs. Like all of that stuff, I'm totally for it. And then, you have to be crazy, but when the Unions came out, you're like, oh my gosh, like those Union Jordan 1s, the first two that they came out with, it changed the game. Virgil's the 10 changed the game. So I love big swing. I love risks, and shoes are a really acceptable, rebellious way to be different, right? You're like, oh, you got loud shoes on. That's cool, and you could wear all black and wear some crazy shoes, and it's fun. It's great, and it's art for your feet, right? Like I didn't coin that. Whoever said it was right. Like you get to wear art on your feet, and I love that, and I love that anybody can wear shoes and be into shoes, right? I mean, it is about money, but you don't have to. You can be a boy or a girl. You can be whatever race, whatever religion, whatever creed, whatever you believe in. You'll meet all of them in line to get sneakers, and you can just talk about your favorite shoes. You can talk about why they shouldn't re-release Wu-Tang Dunks or why they shouldn't re-release PlayStation Air Force Ones. I love it. It's like sports. It's like movies. It's something that anybody can enjoy, and I love that. That's a lot of things I love about sneakers.
Nice. There's definitely, as you said, there's a lot of correlation, I feel, between sports and sneakers and movies and those kind of passions that are, they're not life or death. They're not life or death. So people can come from certain sectors of life where they perhaps they're Christian or they're Muslim or those kind of pole opposites. They can kind of have a common ground in talking about movies or sports or sneakers in that sort of way, and it's a good equalizer, so to speak. I'd say there are obviously shoes that are very hard and hyped to get, but I think that for the majority of people, getting a shoe is not incredibly hard. Obviously money comes into play, but if you like a style, there's definitely ways to get around any sort of hype shoes. You can get similar style of shoes, like with those, Pumas, like Salomons. Those kind of shoes are in the hype era, so to speak. And I think that you don't have to have hundreds and hundreds of shoes in your collection to call yourself a sneaker enthusiast. You don't even have to pick up every shoe. Those clots, the gazelles, like I said, probably not going to get them, but I can appreciate them. I can enjoy them. It's definitely awesome. It's a hobby, so to speak. Like you said, it's kind of a distraction from your everyday life, so to speak. And like you do, making content on YouTube and Instagram and such like that. Can I quickly aside and ask why you have the name the Chevalier? For some people who don't know, Daniel, I will link his YouTube and Instagram down below, and his handle is the Chevalier, which, the play on the wine, the sommelier. I found that rather interesting and funny. Where did that come from?
I'm a huge fan of portmanteaus. For those who don't know, it's when you put two words together to form a new word. The former president in the United States, W. Bush, was very famous for malapropisms and portmanteaus, whether he meant to do on purpose or not. So I like combining words. And when I was trying to think of a channel name, I was thinking about, well, what am I doing? I'm reviewing shoes. I'm recommending shoes. I'm giving my thoughts. And I go, oh, it's kind of like a sommelier. And then I go, oh my God. And it just hit me. I was like, oh, I have to do this. And I typed it out real quick to make sure no one had that name on it. Because I thought, this is so clever and so good. Someone's already figured it out on YouTube. And they hadn't when I created the channel. So I like it. And that's why the little picture is a guy dressed in a tuxedo, holding a tray, and there is wine on there, but there's a Converse shoe, for lack of a better description of it. So yeah, it's just, I'm reviewing, I'm recommending, I'm giving you thoughts on shoes. So every once in a while I'll get a comment like, this is the craziest name, like, good for you. And it's like, oh yeah, thanks. Like it's funny. I think it's awesome.
Don't take yourself too seriously. That's my motto.
Exactly. Thank you.
Like the Sharkadon. There you go. That's a good that's a good combo of words. I suppose that's interesting to think, when you're trying to come up with a name kind of thing. I'm not sure why I thought that. I just thought it was a funny kind of pun, kind of best foot forward. Like, I'm usually a pretty positive person, trying to come up with something that is kind of catchy, kind of has a little bit of alliteration, a little bit of that sort of thing. And I mean, meaning in a name is kind of put forward by the person who is associated with it. So I'll often, it is just a name, but I wanted to create something more than just, Harrison Cable shoes. It's a little bit boring.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for everyone for watching. It's really appreciated. Again, I will link Daniel's Instagram and YouTube page, and go and check out his channel. But thank you so much to everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You have a good day.